So look, often there's this challenge when it comes to first cars because the person behind the wheel, they want it to be fun and a bit exciting and kind of represent who they are, whereas mum and dad and other members of the family or whoever's paying for it would often rather that car be sensible and practical and kind of boring.
Yeah, look, we've got a list and we're fairly confident that we've pretty much got both camps covered here.
Yeah. These are reliable cars. Importantly, they're economical, they're affordable to maintain, but at the same time, they're not a complete embarrassment to be seen in. They can be fun as well.
Yeah, and budget's important too. So this covers the budget and it's pretty much under control.
Yeah, we're going to go from sort of under $5,000 to about a limit of $25,000. And to make this easier to absorb and watch, we're going to split it into different categories. So you'll see what I mean. Let's kick off with the smallest.
City size.
Yeah, city size cars, the smallest cars, the most budget small cars. Now, look, obviously, if you live in a built-up metro area, these are the cars for you. They're super economical. They're easy to park, easy to manoeuvre around tight streets and car parks.
Yeah.
Now, when we say budget, this is the, let's say, $8,000 and less kind of market here. First pick for us is, I think, the Suzuki Alto. This thing, okay, it's pretty bare, basic, small little car. It's got a 1 litre 3-cylinder engine, so it's not the most powerful thing out there, but it's very, very economical.
Yeah.
How's that engine reliability-wise?
Look, super reliable, but they are less common. There's less of them around, so we don't see a lot in the workshop, but the ones we see are nearly always fine.
Yeah.
Very rarely a problem. And they kind of fly under the radar a bit because they're less common.
Yep. Also, it is a very, very small car, and it feels a bit cheap when you're in there, but it does have really good safety features. We're talking about the 2013 to 2014 Suzuki Alto, 6 airbags. Funnily enough, it has traction control. If ever there was a car that doesn't require traction control, it's a Suzuki Alto, but it has it. Yeah. But yeah, under $8,000, that's one good pick.
Yeah.
Then on the flip side, as far as power-wise goes, the Mazda 2 from 2008 to 2014.
Because it's got all of the power.
It's got all of the power. 1.5 litre engine, so it is going to be a little bit more fun to drive. In fact, Mazda's tagline for the longest time was zoom, zoom, and this is a pretty enjoyable little car to drive. It is still fuel efficient. It's still a 1.5 litre. It might not be as fuel efficient as the Alto, but still a good thing. Reliability.
Look, again, super reliable. We hardly ever see any problems with them. Engine mounts occasionally. Very rarely a problem. Yep.
Also, you can get it in a 3-door or a 5-door hatch, so you've got some choices there as well. But our pick for this category, Hyundai i20 from 2014 and 2015. 6 airbags, loads of tech, loads of features. This is still a car that was designed to try to attract people away from Toyota and Mazda, so Hyundai were throwing features at it. It is pretty basic inside, but it's resilient. It's a resilient little nugget.
And I think it's a standout too. We do see plenty of these because they're way more popular. And in a budget car, you want that because later on when you're doing repairs, you might be on trying to do it on the cheap. You're going to be able to get parts more availably, second-hand parts especially.
Yeah.
I reckon that's why that's the pick for me, that one.
Now, at that $8,000 and under budget for these, you're probably going to be looking at manual examples. Autos are a little bit more expensive, but haggle with who's ever selling it and try to get it under $8,000. Okay, now still sticking with obviously small cars, but moving up the price range. We're now talking sort of $7,000 to $12,000 kind of area. Obviously, take all the cars that we've just mentioned, and for this sort of money, you can get just a better version of them. Now, our first pick in this category, Suzuki Swift from 2010 to about 2016. This thing's great. 7 airbags, loads of safety features, good amount of technology, especially in the more recent examples of that. The GL, well, most of them have a 1.4 litre engine, so you're kind of a bit more power than the 1 litre in the Alto, but still quite economical, probably more economical than the Mazda.
Yeah.
Only issue, Jatco CVT in this.
Yeah, it does. It is a bit of a red flag, but overall, they're such a small and light car. There's not a huge history of these things failing, especially if they're well serviced.
Now, if you're not a car person, CVT transmissions or constantly variable transmissions, they can have a few gremlins surrounding them, especially some of the Jatco ones, but without a lot of load on it, it's not too bad.
In this car, it's not a huge issue. It's not an issue at all, really, to be honest. It's fine.
These are also really practical for their size. They look impractical from the design, from the outside, but in 5-door hatch form, actually pretty roomy little thing.
Yeah, they're right.
Really good. Next pick, this is a bit predictable, Toyota Yaris from 2012 to 2016. The more recent examples have 7 airbags, loads of safety and tech and whatnot. Now, engine-wise, you can get a 1.3 litre, which is the economical choice, but the 1.5 litre, I think, is the one to get. It just makes freeway trips easier, it makes pulling into traffic easier, and it doesn't use...
There's not that much in it, though, to be fair. I've got one of each.
Okay.
And they're fine.
Yeah.
They really are.
Even fuel use, some people will argue, you got to get the 1.3, it's more economical.
It's not.
It's not, because you generally have to rev it harder to go anywhere. So any savings you might get in displacement, you're actually using up because
there's no measurable difference, really.
No, hardly any at all. There's other factors that will impact fuel economy over just the engine size. Traditional automatic, not a CVT, so that's good for wear and tear. The only issue with these, being a Toyota, you do pay a bit of a premium. There's a bit of a Toyota tax.
But you also get the huge support network, and they're so popular, and parts are always available.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to go past this one, but I have a different pick for this category. Not controversial, but
no.
I reckon the pick for this budget in this small city car realm is the Honda Jazz. Now, we'd avoid the first generation Honda Jazz because we feel they're just getting a bit long in the tooth these days. You can get a third generation for this $7,000 to $12,000 budget, but it's going to be pretty rough around the edges. The second gen is the one to get. That's 2009 to 2013. Again, like the Yaris, you can get a 1.3, get the 1.5 instead. If you get a manual, it's actually a pretty fun little car.
I will just point out some of these Jazzes have a good look under the subframe at the front for rust. We've seen some of the early ones, especially coastal cars. There's a drain hole under there that just starts rusting out. It's actually a fairly common problem. So that is really the only thing I would red flag on that car. On the upside, it is always going to be cheaper than the equivalent Yaris. But I would definitely emphasise, just check under that subframe for rust. It's a thing.
This actually goes for all of these cars that we're listing. A pre-purchase inspection is absolutely critical. It's that sort of stuff that you might not see when you're doing an inspection. Before you buy any car at any budget, just get a pre-purchase inspection.
You literally have to get under the car to see that rust.
Have to do that. This is, I think, my pick or our pick, just for sheer practicality. Out of all the small cars, this thing is like a TARDIS. So you can fit so much in it. You can get people in the back seats comfortably. Such a great little car. So good. Okay, now, high-priced, really small cars. Bunch of options here. Suzuki Ignis. I love these. Now, we're talking about the 2016 to, it's actually still current Suzuki Ignis. 6 airbags, traction control, stability control, all the safety features. Great amount of tech. 1.2 litre engine, very fuel efficient, reliability-wise.
Very, very typical small Japanese car. They're super reliable.
Even the CVT. These have a CVT, but
never an issue.
I've never heard of an issue with one of these. The cool thing with these, it's slightly lifted and it's got a higher profile tyre. So if you're maybe a first driver and might maybe hit a gutter or a pothole or a speed hump a bit hard, it doesn't matter because you've got that lifted ride height, but it's not an SUV as such.
But in an urban environment, that's never a bad thing, really.
Exactly. Also, great use of space. Like, there's a funky design, but it's when you get in, it's super clever how Suzuki have managed to use that space. Great little car. Fantastic.
Good all-rounder.
We're going to jump to what we think is the pick in this category. It's the Kia Picanto from 2017.
Or Picanto.
Picanto?
I don't know.
Picanto side. 6 airbags, traction control, stability control, great safety features. Choice of engines, but I think the one to get is the GT with the 1 litre 3-cylinder turbo. This thing, it's so much fun to drive. We've reviewed one. There's a full review. The link is down below there. Oh, so great. Also fuel efficient. Great. Even steering. The suspension tune was done for Australian conditions, so it just handles our conditions really nicely. It's good on the freeway. Great around town. Funky design inside and out.
It's a good thing.
Anything you don't like?
No, they're all no huge red flags with the reliability, but I just want to emphasise all these cars we're talking about, just make sure it's got a service history as well. That is just, the key to everything.
Absolutely.
Oh, God.
Now, loads of the cars we're covering in this video, we have done full reviews of. All the links are down below. So go hunting down there. It's a great resource down below in the description. Now, another link down below is a link to Driver. Now, this is critical when you're buying a first car. You don't want to go getting yourself into some terrible financial situation, paying too much, repaying a loan. Driver will find you the very best car finance package from loads of different lenders. The entire application process is free. It's super easy to do. There are no hidden fees. Check out Driver. It's critical when you're looking at a first car. Okay, now moving up a category in size, we're going to medium-ish cars and even medium-ish, small-ish kind of SUVs. Mazda CX-3.
There's got to be a category. Mini SUVs? I don't know.
It's hard to... What even is a medium car or a medium SUV anymore? Anyway,
blurred.
you know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Now, we're going to kick off again with the budget-friendly picks here. I think we should check out the Kia Rio and Hyundai Accent from about 2012 onwards. These things are great. Now, just for the non-car nerds out there, Hyundai and Kia are ostensibly the same company. Yep. These two cars, under the sheet metal and under the interior trim, the bits you see...
Mechanically, they're the same.
Same platform, engine, brakes, suspension, electronics.
All
the same car. You can get a choice of a 1.4 or a 1.6-litre engine. Both pretty reliable.
With a good service history.
Yeah.
With not a good service history, not that great.
We almost go as far as saying if there's any concerns about the service history on these, just don't go near it. It has to have a full service history.
100%. Especially those ones. Some cars are more tolerant, but they are not.
Yeah. And also keep that maintenance up. It's one thing to buy a car with a full service history, but if you want it to last, service it ahead of schedule or at least on schedule.
And that often, unfortunately, with first car buyers, they often can't afford that servicing and maintenance, and quite often some of these cars fall through the cracks as well, which is a big problem with small affordable cars.
Yeah, be careful with this one. From a driving point of view, again, suspension tuned for Australian conditions, really enjoyable to drive, and again, loads of safety features. And also, like the i20 we mentioned before, loaded with kit, because again, Hyundai and Kia were trying to coax people over to their cars rather than buying a Toyota and a Mazda. So you're going to get lots of stuff for your money.
Lots of stuff you won't get in a Toyota.
Just service, maintenance.
Yep, 100%.
Critical. Okay, next up we have the Honda Civic, the classic Honda Civic. Now, for this under $8,000 budget, you're going to be looking at either 2012 to 2017 hatchbacks or 2006 to 2010 sedans, and look, both are fantastic. They are getting a little bit long in the tooth, but it's still excellent.
They are.
Honda reliability.
Yeah.
Honda build quality.
Yeah.
Pretty hard to go past.
Definitely.
Again, make sure it's got a service history, all that sort of stuff. Now, also, they are getting a little older, so the safety features might not be quite as impressive. But as we said before, this is a larger car. Yeah. So it might only have 2 airbags or 4 airbags versus 6 or 7. It will definitely have traction control. No, it will.
Yeah,
it'll have traction and stability control.
Yep.
It might not be as advanced as some of the newer cars in the smaller car category, but it's just a physically larger car. Yeah. But back to that engine. This is the 1.8 litre petrol engine. Thoughts?
Look, again, small car, Japanese reliability. And, Honda still can claim that. They're actually pretty bloody good.
Excellent.
Yep.
In saying that, I think the pick here has got to be the Mazda 3. Now, the Mazda 3 we're talking about for this under $8,000 budget is the BL series Mazda 3 from 2009 to 2013. The previous BK, it's a good thing as well, but it is getting a bit older. Levels of tech and safety are not up to scratch as the BL. I think these are a good thing.
They are. Look, having said that, we see 10 of these to all of the others. They're way more popular.
Yeah.
So I can give you a list of things that go wrong. They do have some oil leak issues. They do have some engine mount issues, but we see so many of them. And I got to be honest, I don't think I've never seen one come in on a tow truck.
Yeah, there's small engine mounts, not a massive deal.
It's a few $100. It's nothing.
And the car's still going to work fine. Yeah. So there can be problems, and they look like prevalent problems because there are just so many of them out there. But the advantage to having so many, parts are everywhere. Yeah. They're cheap.
Exactly right.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. No, that's probably the pick for a whole bunch of reasons, but definitely.
And you can get it as a hatch or a sedan. So you've even got choices there.
Yeah, I think it's the best looking.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's a great looking car. Yeah. Now, budget, medium-ish, small-ish SUVs. You could go a second and third generation Forester here. They've got great off-roading chops. They're a great adventure vehicle, really good road trip car. Yep. Just let's talk that head gasket issue.
Yeah, the head gasket issues in the up to 2013 when they went from the FJ to the FB engine. The early models with the timing belt, I'd probably steer clear of them because the service costs are much higher. Yeah. That is a $1,000 job to get that timing belt done every 100,000 Ks, and a lot of them happen to be sold around that age as well. Yep. The later models with the timing chain, the FB platform, way more, just way cheaper in the long run, really. Yep. Yeah, they do have some issues, some oil leak issues and things as well, and they don't have the head gasket issues. but they do have oil consumption issues, especially on worse, items that have been serviced poorly.
Sure. One thing to be really wary of here as well, you might be able to pick up a 4th generation Forester for this under $8,000 budget. Wouldn't go near it with a CVT. These CVTs are a nightmare. When they go, $6,000-8,000 to get them sorted out. You know what? Maybe we shouldn't recommend a Forester.
Look, the underlying thing is the CVTs are not that. If you can afford to repair it or get a manual.
Yeah.
Did they make the manual in the 4th gen?
I think they did a manual in the 4th gen.
We should fact check that.
We should check that.
But
well, you know what? To avoid all this, get a Honda CR-V.
Yeah,
I think a Honda CR-V in this sub $8,000 budget is the one to get. We're talking the 2002 to 2006. I used to own one of these. I sold it recently.
The K-Series engine in those is, world famous for its performance chops.
Yeah.
But the older ones are having some oil leak issues, and there are a few issues around them, but they're getting old. But again, service history is key.
And the thing is, I think because it wasn't maybe as cool as a Forester or even a RAV4, a lot of the previous owners aren't generally young people. They're normally older people that maintain them nicely. I've seen, when I bought mine, I was looking at a bunch of different ones, and they all had really good service histories. They were all owned by mature people. They come with a picnic table. They come with a picnic table. What more do you want from a car? It has a picnic table. It needs to happen more. The more recent examples, so the post-update of these, which I think is from 2005 onwards, they have better safety features as well, and just a better thing. But again, service history, so critical on this. Okay, now moving up a price bracket in this mid-ish size car category, take everything that we just said about the Honda Civic and the Mazda 3 and just move them up into a higher pricing bracket. We're talking $7,000 to $12,000. And also at a massive helping of Toyota Corolla. Now for the Mazda 3, this means that you're going to be looking at really, really good condition and higher spec 2nd generation BL cars and pretty decent condition but more recent BM generation cars. Also, hot tip here, try to get the 2.5 litre and with a manual transmission, it is such an enjoyable car to drive.
Definitely. Yep.
Reliability for the 2.5.
Super reliable. Yeah. Very rarely do we see any issues with them.
Yeah. And if you're concerned about fuel consumption as well, they're not that fuel inefficient. It's still a 2.5 litre 4-cylinder, and it's Sky Active rubbish marketing crap that Mazda carry on with. But it's a pretty economical little car. Good way to go. Honda Civics, same thing. For these, you're going to be looking still at 2012 to 2017 hatchbacks, but just better examples of what we said before. But for the sedans, you're going to move up into the 2010 to 2015 models. They're basically massively improved versions of the previous iterations. Great things.
Super reliable.
Yeah. The pick here, but it's kind of the industry standard first car.
I even hate saying it. I mean, I know. We get called out a lot for being Toyota fanboys, but there's a good reason for that.
Yeah. So we're talking Toyota Corolla here. If you're watching this from the UK or Europe or anywhere else, it might be a Toyota Auris or it might be a Scion IM. I think we tried our hardest not to have a Corolla in this list, but you can't not because they're so bloody good. They are. Okay, so we'd be going with the 2012 to 2016 E180 series. There's nothing wrong with the previous generation E150.
Nothing at all.
Nothing at all. They're just, the only reason we didn't mention them before is they're a bit too sensible. I just think they're a little bit too boring for a first car. I think you need to have something with a little bit more pizzazz
they do have
about
a bit of a grandpa vibe. But
bulletproof reliability, as long as it has some kind of service history, as long as it has some level of maintenance to it, they should probably
The early
go
ones
forever.
are prone to ignition coil failure. We see them every other month or so.
Yep.
If you do them all, it can be an expensive job. Most people just choose to do one coil at a time, and it's a few $100, but that's really about the only thing we see go wrong.
Amazing.
And maybe the odd water pump or something, but overall, super reliable.
But with those E180s, great safety features, great tech. I think they look great. They're kind of angry face on it.
Yeah.
Really nice to drive. Just a good car. Really good thing.
Yep.
And honestly, even if they're moderately looked after, they're probably going to outlast humanity.
They definitely do have a higher tolerance for neglect than some of the other cars on this list.
Yeah. That's the thing with a lot of these cars. They might not be the most exciting. In saying that, we are going to be doing a worst first cars of 2024 video. We haven't shot it or made it yet, but it's coming very, very soon. Sometimes the more exciting, fun cars are not the ones to buy because they are expensive to
They'll
maintain.
break your heart.
They will. These things just resilient, so resilient. Okay, mid-priced SUVs in this sort of sizing. Look, you could go with the Mitsubishi ASX. You could go with the Kia Sportage or Sportage. You could go with the Hyundai iX35. They're okay, but it's critical they have good service histories and good maintenance records because there can be some hit and miss quality issues.
There are a
here.
lot of catastrophic engine failures in this category with these things. Some dates are worse for it than others, but anything that's still on the road with relatively higher Ks on it now, if it's had a good service history, you're likely to have less issues with it.
Should be okay.
But service history is absolutely key. More than any other car on this list with these, servicing is very much important.
Even with the ASX as well, what we found when we did the research on that for the full ASX review video, just hit and miss build quality.
Yep.
You'll have, it felt like in the owners groups, for every one, for every two owners that had an ASX that never ever had an issue and they love their car, there was one owner going, I've had all of the problems here.
Yep.
So I don't know if they're really worth the risk. No. They can be looked at, but there's a lot of caveats there.
And with the Kia and the Hyundai, you don't have to look far for heaps of engine failures. That's a very real thing.
Yep. The other one in this sort of $7,000 to $12,000 category in this car is, again, Subaru Forester and Subaru Crosstrek XV.
Yep.
Don't buy the diesels.
God, no.
Don't buy the diesels. Just don't.
In any Subaru, ever.
Yeah.
Never buy
don't
a diesel.
Get a diesel.
Yep.
And again, the CVTs, especially in the XVs, I've had a couple of mates have XVs with CVT dramas, and it's all of the thousands. I just don't think they're worth the risk. If you're going to buy one, make it a manual.
If you can swing it.
Yep. So instead, we'd be going with something far more resilient and reliable and cheaper to maintain. Honda CR-V, Mazda CX-5, and Toyota RAV4. Like the hatchback counterparts, they're all incredibly reliable, super popular, heaps of parts out there, loaded with features and tech. I think they're all good-looking things. Yep. The CX-5 is the most enjoyable to drive out of all those.
Probably the nicest feel in the car.
Yep. The CR-V is probably arguably the most practical. You can do some pretty amazing things with that interior.
Probably the least nicest to drive.
A bit boring to drive. And the RAV4 is kind of halfway between the two.
Yeah. The RAV4 is always more expensive and always has better resale.
Yep. Again, just avoid diesels.
Oh, God,
Yeah. We won't go too deep into it. Just when it's your first car, it needs to be affordable to maintain. These won't be. Are you tired of streaky, squeaky wipers? Confused by wipers that are hard to buy and even harder to fit? Sick of paying extortionate prices for wipers? Well, introducing WiperTech. Purchase wipers from the leisure of your home and have them delivered straight to your door. Not only are they a piece of cake to fit, they fit perfectly, and you can now enjoy streak and squeak-free wipering all day. Plus, use our code and get 15% off your purchase. Okay, then we get into the high-priced medium cars. We're going to do this in alphabetical order. First of all, Honda. You're going to be looking at better condition 9th gen Civics. These are great.
Unreal car. Really.
Great car.
Good thing.
I forgot to mention as well, with these Civics, especially in hatchback form, the practicality, because they've got Honda's Magic seats, same as in the Jazz and the HRV, which we'll get to soon. They're incredible. Yep. Amazing practicality. Also, this budget is going to get you into a 10th generation Civic with its sharp, funky designs. But we'd be going with the 1.8 litre engine over the 1.5 turbo.
Yep. It's just overall, it's going to be better in the long run.
Yep.
Might not be as fuel efficient in the short term, but if anything does go wrong with it, it is going to be cheaper to repair. You're probably not going to have to ever repair it, to be honest.
Yeah. And just some of in this budget, this sort of, it's over $12,000 budget, but some of the early 1.5 turbos, they did have some problems there. So we'd be playing it safe. Go to 1.8 litre.
Less to go wrong.
Yep. That 1.8 litre as well. It's just been evolving for, it feels like ever. Yep. So they're fantastic. Yep. Okay, next up, Hyundai and the i30. You're going to be looking at either second or third generation cars. So that's 2013 to 2017 or 2017 to 2022. These are hugely popular, so you can pick and choose. Don't just go and buy the first one you find.
Yep, plenty around.
Again, Hyundai. So again, service history.
The same engine problems as the iX35 as well in the Sportage. They have the same platform.
Yep.
Servicing is key, 100%.
Yep.
A lot of them have had big time engine failures. Some are covered under warranty, some are okay, but service is key.
Yep. And because there's so many out there, you can be picky with these. As I said, there's no need to go and buy the first one that you see because
I got a saying, there's always another car.
Exactly.
Just don't fall in love with the first car. There's always another one.
Especially with these.
Yep.
And obviously, again, the same goes for the Kia Sorento, as we mentioned before. Same car. So everything we just said about the i30,
Yep.
Kia Sorento, same thing. Okay, next up is Mazda. Again, Mazda 3. If your parents can afford it, get into the current generation.
Parents buy their kids' cars?
Apparently so.
In my day, they didn't.
Try to get into a current generation BP series. These are fantastic. In saying that, you might actually be better off with the previous generation BM and BN, because for this sort of money, you'll get a really, really great condition low kilometre BM or BN over a higher kilometre, maybe lesser condition BP. So many letters to remember.
Very confusing.
The BN is actually so good that Sam, the guy that we started ReDriven with, that's generally behind the camera, he has an SP25 manual in this, and he's a very intelligent guy.
He knows what's going on.
He doesn't make bad decisions.
He's one of the few people that can drive a manual too.
Yeah. So if the guy that started the channel you're watching now, he's chosen to buy a BN Mazda 3, maybe it's good enough for you as well.
Be like him.
Okay, next up Toyota, and again, obviously Corolla. Just find the best condition, lowest kilometre example that you can afford. Make sure it has a full and thorough service history.
Yep.
Pretty hard to go wrong.
Yeah, very hard to go wrong. Super reliable.
Yep.
Never have an issue.
Critically, get a colour that you like, because it is a Corolla. It's not the most exciting car out there. So at least if the colour's good, then you're going to enjoy driving it. Also, and don't laugh at me, check out the Prius and the Prius C. Now for the Prius, these are going to range from about 2012 to 2015. Honestly, really good thing. It's loaded with kit, good safety features,
definitely.
super economical. It's going to make you look like you care about the environment. Critically, but you're not going to have any of the range anxiety issues or charging infrastructure issues that your EV
like you
drivers
care
will.
for the environment. No one's looking if you're driving one of these.
That is true.
No one ever looks at you.
No.
So if that's what you want,
If you want to fly under the radar and never get pulled over by the police, get a Prius. Also, all the same goes for the Prius C. This is just smaller and it uses even less fuel. At this price point, you're going to be looking at 2013 to 2018 models. These things make great first cars.
they do. Watch out for EGR issues. That's about the only thing that goes wrong with these. There's a few other little minor things, but super reliable also. Very economical and reliable.
But the pick for this category, Lexus CT200h. Look, this is basically a Prius with a sexier body.
It's the same underpinnings.
It's
exactly
the same car underneath. It's like Serato i30 thing. So a Lexus CT200h ostensibly is a Toyota Prius wearing a better outfit with a better interior, nicer driving experience, a bit more schmancy tech and features, great safety. Also, there's something cooler about saying, I drive a Lexus than I drive.
Then that's important to some people.
It's a first car.
Yeah,
I think image in your first car is a critical thing. It definitely feels far more luxurious.
Much
than a
nicer
Prius.
to drive,
Way nicer to drive. That's my pick for this category. I think CT200h, cracking thing.
Although I would say, sadly, a lot of people who should buy that car might be swayed to get something more European, which might be in our other list.
Very much so. Actually, on the Lexus thing, because a lot of people actually don't understand that Lexus and Toyota are the same, you might think, well, hang on a sec, Lexus CT200h for a first car, what about maintenance costs? It's all Toyota parts.
Yep.
It's got the same support network as Toyota.
Yep.
It's affordable.
It might be more expensive to service at Lexus than a Toyota is at Toyota, but underneath they're the same and the same parts and the same costs. So it should be just the same price to service.
Go to an independent mechanic because you're going to save a fortune rather than going to a Lexus dealership.
For sure.
Sorry, Lexus dealerships. Okay, then we come to the higher priced medium SUV-ish, small SUV-ish kind of thing.
Whatever category that is.
Oh my God, okay. Now this is $12,000 and up. We're just going to pump through these really quick. Okay, 2015 to 2021 Honda HR-V. I know, boring, but amazing practicality. I think a great little thing. 2017 to 22 Hyundai Kona. Again, service history, maintenance, absolutely critical. And the same goes for the 2021 to current Kia Stonic. That is not actually related to a Kona, sort of, kind of. It's a bit boring, honestly, but it's surprisingly good. This is our pick for this category, 2015 to 2023 Mazda CX-3. I love these things. Here's the hot tip. Get front-wheel drive with a manual gearbox, and it's not a performance SUV, but geez, they're fun to drive. Bit of excessive road noise in some of the early ones.
That's about the only complaint, though.
Oh, also, small boot, not a lot of rear leg room, but
they look good.
They look great. Great looking thing.
Which is very important.
Critical. 2015 to 22 Suzuki Vitara. Get one with the turbo engine, because this is basically a jacked up Suzuki Swift Sport, and that is an awesome thing. These are great. Really great mate of mine. She has one. Absolutely loves it. Great little car. And the 2016 to 2021 Toyota CHR. Okay, bulletproof, but this thing has about as much acceleration as a armoured truck.
It's a very polarising car. I think they look good, but they're just so bland to drive.
I don't think there's nothing dangerously slow, but these are bloody slow. I wouldn't want to have to overtake someone or try to pull into traffic at high speed.
Isn't there sort of complaints about the rear seat comfort as well, or the roof shoots down and it's sort of claustrophobic
it
back
feels
there?
very claustrophobic in the back seat. But a good thing, it's just bulletproof. It's a Toyota. Massive support network. Everything we said about Toyota before, but in small-ish kind of SUV over $12,000 area. Okay, now larger cars and larger SUVs. I know we've been splitting this up into budget, mid-range and high price, but the thing is, for the cars we're talking about with this, they all fill those budgets from under $3,000 to $25,000.
And now, as we always say, when you're looking, just make sure you get the latest model with the lowest Ks on it.
Absolutely. And obviously, get a vehicle history check and get a pre-purchase inspection done. That vehicle history check, that'll tell you if the car's ever been stolen, if there's any money owing on it, if it's been written off. If you do need to get one, and you do if you're buying a first car or any car, there's a link down below to ReDriven.com. You can get it there. Okay, now for larger cars, what do we recommend? First up, it's the Uber driver's car of choice. It is the Toyota Camry, of course.
And there's a good reason for that, really.
Yeah, they're just so reliable.
Yep.
They're everywhere, parts everywhere, great support network.
And you know what? If you've ever driven one long distance, you would be a convert. They are super comfortable, super quiet.
Yep. Look, we'd be going for a first car from 2006 models and more recent because the safety features are just better and they're not as long in the tooth. But Camrys, good Camrys start from about $3,500, top out to about $25,000 for this budget. Obviously, you can buy a Camry for $60,000, but that's not the first car. So many to choose from. Our pick is to try to find one of the hybrid models. These are going to kick off from 2009 from about $10,000. But bulletproof reliability?
Yes, absolutely bulletproof. I'd probably avoid anything like the Orion variants with the V6 in it. Very thirsty and less reliable than the 4 cylinders.
Sure.
But yeah, the hybrid versions are super reliable.
If it's got way more kilometres on it, as long as it has a service history, doesn't matter as much?
Yeah, yes and no. But yes, basically is a short answer,
Yep.
Service history is always key.
Because I think there are people out there that will go, this thing's got 220,000 Ks on it, but it's got a faultless service history.
Yeah.
You're generally going to be pretty okay with the Camry.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, next up, Honda Accord Euro. Oh, what a thing. I love these. I think these are so underrated in every realm. Build quality, that K24 engine, super reliable. Yeah. Beautiful to drive, like fantastic car to drive, good size, good amount of space. It is getting a little bit long in the tooth, so maybe some of the tech and safety features aren't as up to scratch in some of the other cars.
The K-Series engine, even with a bit of neglect, is sort of reliable. They are getting some oil consumption and oil leaking issues now, but overall, very rarely do they have any sort of catastrophic failure.
Yeah, and pricing $5,000 to about $20,000. $20,000 is going to get you a mint condition Euro, but yeah. Fantastic. Lexus IS, great thing. Huge fans of these. For this sort of price range, we're looking sort of $8,000 to $25,000. You're going to be looking at 2002 to 2014 models. That means there's going to be 3 different generations to choose from.
Although we'd really only be sort of talking about the IS 200 here, right?
Yeah, your IS 200, 250. I don't know if you get a 350 for under 25.
Yeah, okay.
And also, I don't know if the 350s are P-plate approved
Possibly
as well.
Not, yeah.
You've got to check that out. The second generation cars, they can have a weird issue with the dashboards getting sticky and some of the plastics getting sticky. And it's a pain in the neck of an issue. But besides that...
Underpinnings, Toyota reliability.
Yeah. Quick warning, watch out for any bad modifications.
Yeah.
I actually wouldn't buy anything with modifications. No. And even if you can, look to see if the modifications have been taken off the car and the car's been returned to stock. Because being rear-wheel drive, some of them get abused.
Yes.
Be a bit careful there. I think the pick here, Mazda 6. Sedan or wagon or liftback. I have a story about the liftback. My mum and dad, they've got a second generation Mazda 6 liftback. It's got over 350,000 Ks on it.
Not a diesel, is it?
Not a diesel. It's still going strong. They service it regularly.
Yep.
The thing runs like clockwork. So it shows the longevity of these.
Yeah.
Do we mention don't buy a diesel?
100%. Do not buy a diesel
No.
in any shape or form in this Mazda family. They are terrible.
No. There's 3 generations of Mazda 6 you can choose from. I'd probably avoid the really early ones. I think they're just getting long in the tooth now, getting a bit dicey.
Yep.
Second gen, third generation, go with one of
I don't
those.
think there's ever been a manufacturer that offers a diesel and a petrol in the same engine, in the same car, that's had such a extreme difference between the longevity between the petrol and the diesel.
100%.
They are by petrols are great and the diesels are terrible.
Isn't it funny? Yeah, those petrol engines regarded as one of the most reliable.
Well, Mazda ditched the diesel later because they couldn't get it right.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Don't buy a diesel. Okay, largish SUVs into 4x4 kind of category. This actually even, we're going to throw some 4x4 dual cab utes into here as well. Again, these ones we're going to be covering, they cover a whole range of different price points from about $5,000 and up. First of all, Toyota Kluger, or if you're watching this from outside Australia or Japan, it's the Toyota Highlander. Bulletproof reliability. Used to own one.
Yeah, I used to own one.
Yep.
Very good car.
Again, Toyota, huge support network. Parts and maintenance are really affordable. Great 7-seat SUV, hugely practical.
We're not talking about the first gens though, are we?
First gens are thirsty.
They are very thirsty and they're all leaking oil. They're all due for a timing belt. So
they'll still go.
Yeah.
They'll go forever,
Yeah.
but the first gens, ignore them. Just
the
go.
second gen went to the timing chain and the 2GR FE motor. Again, thirsty, very thirsty, but super reliable.
Yep. If you can, I don't think you get, no, ignore this. I was going to say get a hybrid, but you're not going to get a hybrid
for that price,
at this price point. Not even close. Ignore that. Lexus RX, a little bit smaller than the Kluger. 5-seater, not a 7-seater.
Same underpinnings though.
Yeah, same underpinnings, But exceptional build quality.
Yeah.
Really good range of safety and tech and features and whatnot. Try to get a hybrid in these. Here's where I was getting confused with the Kluger before. Try to get a hybrid RX. These kick off from around about $12,000. And I think they deserve the luxury kind of
They were very
categorisation.
popular, the hybrids in those. There's plenty of those around.
Heaps.
Yeah.
And that's a really good sign because, again, parts are out there, but because there's so many, the prices kind of drop a little bit. It's funny because you can get a Lexus for the same price as the equivalent Toyota, but the Lexus is a much nicer thing to drive and live with and say, I own a Lexus.
If that's important to you.
I think it should be. It's your first car. You want a cool first car. Okay, another one of my favourites here. Mitsubishi Pajero. Avoid the really early models. They're really only for collectors and people with project car aspirations.
Yeah,
For a
very,
first,
very truck-like and not that good.
For a first car, you don't want something that's going to be a massive project. I think these offer better value for money than the equivalent Prado or Patrol or Land Cruiser, but they do pretty much everything as well as a Prado, a Patrol or a Land Cruiser.
They're very popular with the young four-wheel drive enthusiasts. So a lot of them have had mods and a lot of them are trashed as well, though.
That's the big thing with these. It's just, again, we keep saying it, pre-purchase inspection, vehicle history check, so important, especially with anything that's been off-road. We've got an ultimate 4x4 buyer's guide video as well. That's down in the link down there. Watch that. These can be fantastic, and if you can buy one off some retired bloke that's only driven it around Australia a couple of times and has never really been off-road, or some retired bloke that's never been around Australia and just drives it around town all the time and occasionally to Sydney or Melbourne.
But serviced it frequently.
And they're out there.
Yeah.
There are plenty of Pajeros out there that have got that service history. That's the one to get.
Yeah.
I should also mention, the Pajero, it's just evolved forever.
Yeah.
It's never been like a brand new model. So the more recent you can get, the better off you are. Another Mitsubishi, Triton/Challenger, based on the Triton. But we're talking about the PB, which is the 2009 up models. Reliable?
Hit and miss.
Oh,
Hit
really?
and miss. Yeah, they're okay.
Okay.
The well-serviced and well-cared-for ones are good, but a lot of the ones that we see have been tinkered with and had a bit too much off-road use. You've got to be really careful of that. They do. The young fellas love them.
The youths. Ruining stuff. Just real quick with the Challenger, it's way nicer to drive than the Triton. And I think the Challenger's hugely underrated. Again, but I think it's a bit like the Pajero. There are examples out there that haven't had a lot of use off-road.
Yeah.
They've just been bought by people that have retired and maybe now they just want something a bit comfier and smaller. And I do see them popping up in the market with really good histories. Actually, just on the Triton as well, surely that's got to be the best value for money 4x4 dual cab ute out there.
I reckon. Little bit less pretentious, so they don't have that sort of false value. Super reliable.
Compared to what?
I don't know, a Ranger.
Hilux.
Hilux, yeah. More so a Ranger though.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're a good thing.
Yeah, like really good support network, great range of accessories. Don't believe what anyone tells you. These things are just as capable as every other 4x4 dual cab. We say this in all of our 4x4 dual cab reviews. Every single 4x4 dual cab out there, they're all pretty good. And they're all a bit shit.
At the same time.
Anyone that goes, oh, the Hilux is better, or the Range is better, or the Navara is better, they're full of shit. They don't know what they're talking about. Yeah. They're all good. I reckon just get a Triton. I think it's just the best value for money out of all of them. Okay, then we come to the fun cars. These are the cars that your mum and dad probably don't want you to buy, but you really want to buy. But just tell them like that it's really reliable and it's packed with safety features and it's a modern car. And, you know, they are still, excluding a couple here, sort of practical. The thing I love about these cars, none of them are like rip your face off fast, but all of them will help you develop your driving skills and take them to a track. That's where you should be developing your skills, not on the street. 100%. Don't drive like a dickhead on the street. Go to a track, do some track days, do some skid pans, some motorcanas.
These are all good for that.
All these cars, these are all fantastic, mild performance cars.
Yep.
I'm retracting that. These are all great performance cars.
Yeah, in their own way.
100%.
Yep.
So here we go. Kia Proceed GT. These are so underrated.
Yep.
It shares so many of the underpinnings with the Hyundai Veloster, but it has different rear suspension, and I think it makes all the difference in the world. Yep. This thing is such a great car.
Yeah, I think so too. Good, and it's not too popular, but second-hand parts might be an issue, so something to consider.
Yeah, it obviously shares heaps of components with Hyundai, but the Proceed specific bits and pieces could be interesting.
Yeah, more so body and light panels and things like that. They're all different.
In saying that, something we found when we did the full review of it, phenomenal support network. Like the community around these are so supportive. Yep. So yeah, really good thing. Straight into the car that I think is the pick for this category, Suzuki Swift Sport.
Yeah.
What a brilliant little car.
Yeah.
Pricing ranges from about $7,500. You've got a few different generations to choose from. I don't think there's a better bang for your buck car.
I would agree.
On the market.
Yeah. Super, Japanese reliability.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yep. Yeah, to break them, you've really got to be abusing
it.
Yeah. They are such tough little nuggets. My car is next, the Ford Fiesta ST. I've got a 2017 model. I've had a 2015 model. I sold mine because I was worried that it was going to fall apart being European. Sorry, everybody. But it's actually proving to be a pretty tough little nugget.
Okay. Yep.
Pretty reliable thing. Just be careful of modified ones. Actually, just don't buy a modified one.
There are plenty of modified ones around. It is very popular with the young modifying enthusiasts. Doesn't always make a car better.
No. Plenty have been ruined out there. Just don't buy something modified. Again, pre-purchase inspection, vehicle history check, all that sort of stuff. Great little car. So much fun. Honda Civic Type R. For this kind of budget, you're looking at the FN2. These are going to kick off from around about $15,000. Interesting, the Fiesta ST, good ones start from about $13,000. So these two are kind of head-to-head. Civic Type R, a little bit more boy racer.
Yeah, I reckon this is my pick. I think I prefer the Civic.
You go the Civic?
Yeah, I just like the Honda tunability.
It's no ticket.
Personal preference. Yeah.
Also with the Honda, you look at it and you go, oh, that's just a tiny little hatchback. Again, Honda Magic Seats.
Yeah.
When we did a full review of the FN2, I cannot believe the level of practicality. The space in the rear seat is immense. It doesn't make sense. You look at it from the outside and go, that's not going to be practical. Then you get in and you're like, where did all this space come from?
Pretty well designed.
That K20 engine, bulletproof.
Oh, such a good thing. Yep.
So good. To the point that even if it has been abused, it's not too hard to get back into its best, really. No. Okay, Mazda MX-5. Everybody, at least once in their life, should drive an MX-5, and why not do it as your first car? These are just fantastic. For this kind of budget, you're going to be looking at the NB series MX-5. Really good NAs are expensive, NDs are too much, and Cs are even maybe a little bit too much.
Perfect if you only have one friend.
You don't need more than one friend. No. I've got you. Can I ask a favour? Don't buy an auto. If you're buying an auto MX-5, I don't think an MX-5 is the car for you.
No.
I think you should just buy a little SUV.
Yeah.
Bulletproof reliability. There's a reason that these things you see them at track days all the time and in motorsport events.
Plenty of parts available. Huge, very supportive community.
Yep. phenomenal car. The best thing about an MX-5, you can go and do track days, and because it's so light, it doesn't go through consumables. So unlike your friend that might have a Volkswagen Golf R and has a habit of doing front rotors and pads and front tyres every 35 seconds, an MX-5 can just hammer around a racetrack all day long, drive home, and it's like you've barely driven the thing. So good.
Brilliant.
Also, honourable mention here, the Toyota 86 Subaru BRZ or BRZ. Starting pricing around $15,000. Ignore the haters on these. These are a sensational car. Absolutely fantastic.
They've got a back seat.
They've got a back seat. They've got a pretty decent sized boot. Watch the full review video for all of the details on it.
For a daily, it is way more practical than an MX-5,
God,
really.
Yeah.
There's so many reasons,
I don't think it's as blatantly fun or laugh out loud fun as an MX-5.
Probably not, no.
But as something that you can actually live with as a single car, as your first car, such a good thing. Just check your legalities around who's allowed to drive them, because I know in Australia they're generally okay, but I know in some other countries young people aren't allowed to drive them, which is interesting.
Very important. So that's pretty much it. Now, loads of the cars we've just talked about, they're all in the links below if you want to go on a deep dive on them. And
also, as I mentioned before, we're going to be doing a worst first cars of 2024 video. That's going to be a big one. You have to watch that because there are some absolute dogs out there that we see first car buyers buying all the time, and they're just nightmares because Jim has to fix them on a daily basis. We'll see you then. We'll see you next time.